Hello friends, welcome back to the next part of our Let's Play of Hearts of Iron Force Kaiserreich mod as the Combined Syndicate Submod. I'm as always TheBlueBadger, and today we're going to pick off where we left off last time. For those of you who watched the past few videos, you will know that the Second Weltkrieg in Europe is pretty much over at this point. We were able to defeat the Kaiserreich, and we put down the Dutch, which was the last little bit of fighting that we had to do here in Europe. I mean, there is still a little fighting actually in Greece, so I guess I was a little wrong about that, but at any rate though, from here on out we are going to start pushing south. We still have remnants of the Entente in various parts of the world. We have the French Republic, the Dominion of India, as well as the Australasian Confederation, and of course we have the German government in exile. And of course at a later point too, we're going to be having to move on to other places too, most likely in South America here, and possibly even Japan as well, depending on how things go. But I don't know. With the new up-to-date version of the mod out, I might actually be ending this Let's Play here shortly, but I'm going to try and get as far as I can here. And basically, once the war itself ends, it will probably be when I finally end this Let's Play. But without further ado, I'm first going to just reposition my forces around Marseille here. Bring them all to the ports, so I can eventually start pushing our armies to the south here and land on the North African coast. So I am kind of doing a military build-up of our navy at any rate, because during the fighting we did kind of lose quite a bit. Actually, I'm just industrializing quite a bit. So you can see I have quite the list here. But anyways, the Family Code of 1942. With the Social Revolution in full swing, Congress has passed the Family Code of 1942. The Family Code is a revolutionary code that is driven by an ideological desire to wither away the capitalist model of the family to be replaced by a socialist model of family unions based on mutual love and respect. Thus, to that end, the code included a number of revolutionary changes. It abolishes all impediments to marriage, the biggest one being the abolition of anti-miscegenational laws. Civil marriage is now the only legal type of marriage. The code establishes no grounds of divorce, with both spouses receiving equal division of property at the time of divorce. Also abolished the concept of illegitimacy. Now all children are entitled to parental support and equal rights under the law. Furthermore, in accordance with revolutionary laws regarding family adoption of children that were made homeless in the Revolution is subsidized. The European concept of free love is still under consideration, as well as decriminalizing homosexual behavior. A committee of sexuology led by Agnes Hirschfeld, William Reich, Harry Hay, and Elaine Larry Locke are still locked in debate over how to approach this issue. The world is forever changing. Oops, wrong button. But yeah, that's definitely one way to put it. Should be this one here soon. And then once that's done, basically the reconstruction process will be over. Oh, good, it's done. I'll research some landing craft here too then. Serious case of dry mouth. And there we go. That one's done. And with reconstruction done, now we will move on to the more economic and political aspect of our society. We'll start with this one, business unionism. Many within the combined syndicates mock the idea of business unionism, calling it a betrayal of the revolution. But what they fail to realize is that 200 years of capitalism in America, we will need an intermediary economy to ease transition into socialism. Thus, Congress has ended state-controlled pricing based under Reed. This will help to improve our production rates and factory output, which is precisely what we need now that we are engaged in this big old war. Let's see, we have our forces now. Sorry. Yeah, right here. Hopefully, you. Yep, that's what I thought. I'm gonna have to get landing craft first. So.
Listen up.
Let's see. Actually, move these guys here. Oh, and Greece has capitulated, which is good. One less thing to worry about on our end. Oh. Here's a change in events. It appears that Japan has declared war on India. So, that's pretty good. It's one more country that the Entente is at war at, which is good for us, really. So, yeah, let's just do all these here. Yeah, it's bringing in all of Japan's allies now, too, it would seem. Oh, good, and the last one's done. Oh, I should mention, too, that before I did log off, I did start encryption in both the German government in exile and the Empire of Brazil. Because looking at what's happening here, it's pretty obvious that Brazil is going to win it, so we're definitely going to be attacking Brazil at some point. Well, hopefully. And now they're bringing in the talent powers. Actually, let me try a smaller force, see if I can't get them to work that way. Ah, there we go. I just had to work a smaller force. In 42 days, we should be able to land our troops there. Hopefully we can knock the French out of North Africa here pretty quickly. I'm imagining it should work pretty well. I'll just accept these non-aggression packs here too. Where's our fleet? Yeah, before the Kaiserreich capitulated, unfortunately our fleet was caught in a pretty big battle. I can't recall if it was actually caught in the previous videos of this Let's Play or not, but yeah, we basically lost like half of our fleet. So I've just kind of had them in France, just licking their wounds and letting other ships here just eventually reinforce their line. Horsemen are going up too, which is definitely good. So I know we needed that. Reconstruction over here. Too much swimming in political power right now. We're almost done with business unionism here. Let's see what. In the meantime, let's see what everyone else is doing. How much beating back there we've seen. And it's like in China, it's still pretty much anyone's game at this point. Oh, Morocco's joined the Cairo Pact, it would seem. With German dominance now unquestionably broken, many are already looking to the future. Workers' compensation. The dominance of industrial unions need not the death of enterprise. We shall simply replace the bosses who take an unjust cut of the profits. Instead, let the workers decide within their workplaces, dividing the wealth fairly amongst themselves. Which is good, because while we are a syndicalist nation, I wouldn't really say I'm a communist though, so this is definitely. It's kind of difficult to really explain what my political ideology is, but I did post a blog though about my politics on Facebook, so if you go and check out my Facebook page at TheBlueBadger42, you should be able to see it all there. There are just plenty of forces here in Europe. We basically have this place under our control easily. And with us being our forces in this area, I imagine too that they'll eventually be... Yep, they're already planning out invasions too to North Africa. So goes here. That's still working. Well, I've been supporting. Start that right away. And they're off. Realizing that I've kind of been neglecting to work on the infantry here. It looks like the war in South America is over then. Zola's pretty much taken everything. Be interesting to see what they do next though. Anyways, this is our immediate attention. It's right outside of Algiers. Education Revolution. Nobel professor out of Johns Hopkins University by the name of John Dewey has been appointed Secretary of Education. In Dewey's eyes, the purpose of education should not revolve around the acquisition of predetermined set of skills, but rather a revitalization of one's full potential and the ability to use those skills for the greater good. In particular, he emphasizes that schooling must include hands-on learning, famously stating, "If knowledge comes from the impression made upon us by natural objects, it is impossible to procure knowledge of the use of objects which impress the mind." Dewey's detractors, notably the Catholic Workers' Movement, claim his politics are antagonistic to religious education. Ultimately, Norman Thomas has decided to endorse Dewey's reforms. Second, modest revolt. The Sudan has long been known as the land of religious firebrands and fierce peoples. The fact that even the British Empire at its peak has forced to discover at the end of the last century. Now it seems that the Egyptians are once more facing a serious revolt in the southern region, led by, excuse me if I butchered this name, Abd al-Rahman al-Mahdi, the son of Muhammad Ahmad, the Mahdi of the original 1881 rebellion, calling for God-mandated resistance against the Egyptian occupiers from the balcony of Khartoum. Abd al-Rahman's powerful rhetoric has contributed to the total breakdown to Cairo's rule in the region, though it is unclear whether he is backing most of Sudan's tribes. It is clear that a brutal war lies ahead. Sudan is essentially trying to break away from Egypt. I honestly doubt that that'll really happen, though. Hang on, where? So we should probably give them a little bit of their support. Let's see. That'll do it. One more. There we go. Looks like we're slowly but surely beating them back a little bit. Oh, maybe I don't know. Could really go either way. Order restored in the Irish Socialist Republic. The Irish Socialist Republic still labors under American control. The Irish military has asserted enough control over its own borders that the semblance of autonomy is now possible. It's not independence, far from it, but it still does mean that they no longer have to rely on American troops to secure their borders. It's fine by me. to help reinforce a bit. Put a few dockyards there just to send in more troops. Boldness in science. This is actually a pretty important step for what we need. From the bold new class of scientists our generation has produced, none can match the imagination of our Oppenheimer and Passings. Oppenheimer, the ambitious physicist with connection to the brightest minds in the International, can make the atomic weapon dream a reality. Passings, the liberated rocketry pioneer, whose devotion to socialism is only matched by his devotion to advancing rocket research. Unfortunately, we can only fully fund one of these due to budgetary concerns. And then we can either help to fund rocket research or atomic research. And obviously we are going to be doing atomic research, because honestly atomic bombs would come a little more in handy than rockets. Let's see, when can I expect? Okay, so not until December 7th. I'll accept that. Iberia is capitulated. And Portugal's capitulated, so both good and bad news. Unfortunately. Search. And the atomic chain is broken. International cooperation resulted in fantastic progress on nuclear weapons. The biggest hurdle came when none of the southwestern states would allow a test of such importance on their land, due to public knowledge of nuclear radiation. But we've had to settle for an old munitions test site in West Virginia. There, the test was made, and the entire International celebrated this occasion. So that assists our nuclear research, and essentially we've tested our first nuclear device, which is definitely a lot earlier than actual history. And unfortunately, because of that attack on our front lines, we forced to delay the destruction. Stop that attack. Ah, good. Friendly reinforcements that arrived. Actually. So. Let's get there too. So, definitely perfect timing on their part with reinforcing our lines and protectionist policies. The Council of Professional Workers have concluded that protectionist policy towards American goods is in order, but not as drastic as the Smoot-Hawley Tariff Act. The softer approach will see increased tax breaks for unions that operate solely in the States, as well as propaganda push to buy American, as we should have done during the First Weltkrieg. And like before, it'll improve our building speeds as well as increase a lot more building sites. Jeez, they're just not giving up in that fight there. Maybe I shouldn't have dropped those units in there, I don't know. Another slot here. Let's get some bazookas to the lines. Just 2 more days. Oh. Our boys are already receiving reinforcements, it would seem. At any rate, let's help break our boys out of that pocket there. Come on, boys, you can hold out. Jeez, they are not letting up. Yeah, I'm probably gonna lose that force there. Ah well. Shit happens. Too late for them anyways. I'm gonna need some reinforcements for them though. 6. I don't know. It's lost troops. I actually realize I've had one that's pretty short on that. Two more armies or 2. So once we go to war with Brazil, we can send troops there, right? There's Virginia. Jersey, and then let's put some. And then done. At any rate. Oh, and Sudan has capitulated. Actually, less shorter than I thought it would. And resistance to social changes. In an attempt to observe the changes in society that socialism is building, Congress has approved of roaming documentary to film The New America, so that the world may know our progress. The film has shown to Congress to shock and revulsion, with scenes government propaganda deface continued social barring of women in the workplaces, and a union representative charging a black worker nearly 5 times the going rate for union membership. The director, King Vidor, has been advised by his colleagues to make himself scarce, as the reaction is not what he intended. Congress has demanded Vidor to release the names of those filmed, so that their crimes could be properly prosecuted. A minority of congressmen came to defend the film, claiming that this shows the systematic difficulty in enforcing such revolutionary acts throughout the nation. These unpopular congressmen were then ejected from the building. There's a little bit of political power from that, but the reactionaries must be eliminated. Here's we have 2 different directions that work. Wow, excuse me. And we're pushing into Africa here. We have some coming from the east in Tunis, and then of course we are coming from the west then. I'm actually going to replace this guy here on Tulsa. Excuse me, Tisa. Yes. Need to do some carrier task force here too, then. Tanks are leading the way. Keep on doing that research there. If we can just force them out of Algiers here in order to restore them in the Albanian Socialist Republic. So, pretty much the same thing as Brazil, so no need to read that. Have them attack Algiers. Good news is that it appears that our Navy is assisting us there. At least a little bit. Let's see here. And we have social dividends. Congress has passed a law instituting a basic universal income, wherein a portion of all profit generated from state-run enterprises will be divided amongst our citizens. Our laborers are not just mere subjects, they are the very thing keeping our nation running. So they shall hereby be entitled to some of America's collective wealth. So, that's good. We're essentially doing UBI programs. Which is the exact same thing that Andrew Yang was calling for in the election. Yeah. Andrew Yang was definitely an interesting character. So, in some ways I liked his positions, in other ways I really didn't. Didn't really see him too much as a progressive. I saw his only real progressive policy being the UBI program. But overall, I still like the guy, because I just saw a lot of videos of him just interacting with his supporters, and he looked like a really fun guy to be around. Let's just keep attacking here. Unfortunately, it looks like the one port that we were trying to build here was built before they managed to take it. And to redeploy our forces here. Our allies can continue pushing that way. Let's try and take Algiers. Now it's the other way around. What's that? We have the area surrounded, but they're not. Oh. Iran is declaring war on Azerbaijan. Iran's probably going to be able to take them over pretty quickly. Artillery. Forces are moving back to the coast. Putting up pretty stiff resistance, though, honestly. I'm impressed. Who's the leader of... No, it is still Felipe Petain. He's definitely a controversial figure. It's that... He's a hero because he led a pretty good defense of Verdun. And by little, I mean pretty big, major one, but he also did kind of lead to the French capitulation in 1940 against the Nazis, so it's definitely interesting. So it looks like most of our forces here are slowly working their way towards them. But yeah, if anyone from France is watching this, if they could just let me know in the comments section what you guys think of Petain and actual history. That I'm kind of curious to hear what you guys think. Alright, looks like we finally have the upper hand here. Azerbaijan's capitulated. And public-owned enterprises. Public enterprises were for a long time shunned in America, as countless of our old presidents were beholden to the will of big businesses over their electorate. Still something pretty true today. As we've now broken the yoke of corporations, Congress has finally legalized and made use of public ownership. Rooseveltism and conservationists only hold us back. Looks like we're about to finally kick the French out of Algiers. And the Fall of Algiers. Force from the old city of Algiers, capital of the French government in exile since 1920, tell us of its fall to advancing Communard troops. After progressing slowly through although efficiently through the great colonial avenues near the coast of the Commune of France, forces met heavier resistance when leaving the fight of the bay in more popular districts of Algiers Heights. Fierce fights have taken place between Communard and French soldiers, especially in the popular European district of Bab el-Oued, and in the famous Notre Dame de Afrique Basilica. But finally, at dawn, most of the city had fallen, and the last pockets of resistance were getting illuminated in the Basilica. The sun rising on the bay unveiled the city under a new protectorate. And indeed looks like the Communards have finished their revolution. It is what we need. Oh, this is good news on our part. The French collapse. The situation in the French Republic growing more dire by the moment. The senior French military leadership has fled the country and transferred their base of operations to the Dominion of America. From there, they hope to resurrect the Entente resistance and perhaps even return, should that prove possible. Few within the French Republic appear to have any hope, however, as their surrender is imminent. So it's definitely good news. And that part of the war is then won. So we actually 2 submarines here. Let's see, just until the... There we go. So... Then, Malta. As for the rest of the French Republic, I'm gonna let the Commune of France decide what to do with them. Most likely they're gonna break off all the individual colonies there and back to independence. Or a bit, again, decolonization, so to speak. Which is correct. The Germans are gonna... Yep, there they go. German government in exile declared war on the Commune of France. So, the remnants of the German Empire are now at war with us once again.